Times now, Bruce. The key to helping working-class kids succeed in school is teaching them about pop lyrics and heroin. Sorted.
So, pupils should celebrate working-class culture, experts say. The authors suggest pupils study Billy Elliot and Trainspotting, as well as Dolly Parton and Charles Dickens, to celebrate working-class culture at the same time as developing the kind of vocabulary that's taught in private schools. So there's quite a lot to unpack there, a lot going on.
So it's this new book, right, called Working Classroom. They've written, these lads, and it's like a teacher's guide, but they're saying that, yeah, you should still learn all the posh stuff, but you should celebrate the working class culture too. Yeah,
but then are you celebrating everything else, or are you just focusing on those two things?
Exactly. The question is how much time have you got, isn't it? I mean, there isn't even really a culture class, is there? Are they talking about English literature or music? I mean, where would you learn about Dolly Parton? What class would that fit into?
I see what you mean.
A gay one.
Right, yeah, she's not working class, is she, particularly?
No, she was. She came
no, she herself, but, you know, it's not working-class culture, not in this country.
I think her succession to superstardom is something to do with working-class culture, because she came from an incredibly poor background, and also she's really instrumental in a reading campaign for those impoverished children in America. Fair enough. She puts a lot of money into that.
I don't decry her.
There's a much bigger problem here, Sam, which is that they're saying that meritocracy is smoke and mirrors, and they're saying that social mobility it sort of takes you away from your working class roots, but meritocracy worked perfectly well, especially when we had the grammar schools, which meant all kinds of people could transcend their working class background, and we got rid of that. What I'm wondering is how they're going to cope with, as it says here, white working class boys are some of the lowest achievers at school, and they're saying that, but they're using words like equity, and they're saying meritocracy doesn't work, so they sound very woke. So my question is, how are they going to tackle the taboo of white working class boys?
It's a good question. I mean, they've written a whole book. I checked it out. It's available for sale, so I suppose if anyone wants to find out, they can. It's a sort of classroom guide. Perhaps it's well-intentioned, maybe even it does have a goo. I think it's going to be very difficult to persuade people that working-class culture is something that you can teach, because in a way, the whole point of, like, cultural artefacts that you can teach is that there's some complexity to them that makes them difficult without the teacher intervening and mediating. See what I mean? Whereas working-class culture is something that bubbles up naturally. It's the whole point, isn't it? Right. In much the same way, to be honest, that upper-class culture. I mean, hunting, nobody teaches hunting, do they? People don't teach manners, you know. Or,
probably they're eaten, but
it's just how people behave to let their hair down, isn't it? It's not the idea is that, you know, good literature is not a class divide thing. It's a thing that you have to apply your brain to in order to unpick it a little bit.
So it's almost as if once being taught, it's kind of ossified and it can't possibly be a spontaneous expression of the culture.
Yeah. Anyway, Nick,
is that what you meant?
Trust. Yes, no, I think we're broadly on the same page.